Time for the Weird and Wacky segment.
Abominable snowman.
He's not an axe murderer.
One of the TAs turned out to be a bot.
All right, Sanjay, it's time for Weird and Wacky. So I think, am I reading this right? This first article, is it Olay, Spanish chef gives thumbs up to robot-made, what is that?
Do you not know what that is? Paella.
Paella. I don't think I've ever in my life read the word paella. Ever in my
Paella.
Never read that word in my whole adult life. Not once. So there you go. I'm an idiot. It's cool. We all know it. I'm okay. So walk me through this one, Sanjay.
So, well, I mean, the title is the story pretty much here. There's a robot that makes paella, and apparently it's pretty good.
I mean, listen, the fact that a chef would give their thumbs up to it is actually like kind of amazing, because like chefs are real picky, you know, about the food they eat. Like, it actually reminds me of a bit I saw on some late night TV show where they had Gordon Ramsay eat Girl Scout cookies. He had never in his life had Girl Scout cookies somehow. And
what did he have to say about Girl Scout cookies?
He despised them and refused to swallow them is really what happened. Like that's my point. Like that's my mental benchmark for chef authoritarianism over food quality, right? Like if he doesn't even like Girl Scout cookies, like, oh man, I mean, he's just so much higher above me.
I think right there you gave me the reason to never go to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant, because if you will not eat regular food and appreciate what regular humans eat,
that is true.
Then how can you have any basis to know what like good food is, really? Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Or your perception of what good or better food is.
Yeah,
because I don't know, Girl Scout cookies are pretty good.
They are pretty good,
I think. Next up, a famous flower pops up at an abandoned Bay Area gas station, and it draws crowds. And so the flower didn't just pop up on its own. The owner of the flower took it there for crowds to go and see. And it's the very famous corpse flower. Corpse.
Okay.
And so do you know this flower? I've read about this flower a bunch of times.
Please inform me about this flower.
So this flower only opens up once every 7 to 10 years, and it only lasts for a few days. But it smells like rotting flesh, which is why it's called a corpse flower. And apparently, I didn't know this until I read this article, you can smell it up to a half a mile away. And fully mature, it can grow up to 15 feet tall, which that's a huge flower.
That's insane on so many levels. And it just makes me wonder about the owner, you know, first of all, who has the patience to own a flower that's only going to open up once every 7 years? And then who has the stomach to own a flower that's going to smell that bad once every 7 years? Like, I don't have time.
It's a nursery owner, you know, like a floral or whatever nursery owner. So
I feel better about that.
This is a draw, right? Because a lot of people want to go see this thing because it's a curiosity, right? It only blooms once every 7 to 10 years, and it smells disgusting.
Now listen. I have another potential solution for these crowds. So there's a way to see this flower opened, and not have to smell it at the same time. Okay.
But I think the smell is part of the experience.
No, but it's very simple. You just go to images.google.com. Okay. You're all set. Like, I can appreciate this flower right now, right while we're talking, Sanjay. I can appreciate this flower.
But see, here's the difference. The difference. Yeah. See, you got to go see it in person, so you're able to take a picture of it on your own phone. Never mind the fact that there's millions of photos of the exact same flower, probably, that people have taken. It's somehow different when you take it yourself on your own phone in a way that you can then enjoy, but you'll never look at again because you have 8 bazillion photos on your phone.
Those are my favorite photos. The ones that I take and will never see again, which is 95% of my photos. So
95, really? That's mine is probably closer to 99.8.
Well, no, but I see them again because I do like the whole like Google Photos, like this day in history thing every once in a while.
This day a year ago,
then they resurface for me, which is kind of great. But yeah, I mean,
every year you can relive that smell and be like, oh, that was gross.
And then I can be like, oh, I remember hurling when I saw that flower. That was That was really lovely.
You should make sure you take a picture of the vomit too, so then you can remember the vomit experience as well as the smell experience all at once.
Well, speaking of bad experiences, a city pays $350,000 after suing quote unquote hackers for opening Dropbox link that it sent to them. Sanjay, oh my gosh, please just walk me through this story. It makes my brain hurt. It really does.
So two individuals, Joshua Ferguson and David Curley, are often making public records requests there in Fullerton. And this one time, so a lot of times the city will respond with a link to a Dropbox folder. They responded, but also included a link to another folder that had material that was still being reviewed by the city attorney before being released. So it had not been cleared for release. And some of the zip files were encrypted and password protected, but a handful were not. And so these two folks that are journalists took those documents that they were legitimately sent by the city. It might have been on mistake, but they sent them. And they started writing stories about those things, and the city sued. And
as reporters tend to do,
that's kind of their job.
Hey, I'm a reporter. Can you give me some information so I can write a story? Oh, thank you for that information. Now I'm going to write a story. Oh, you're surprised that I wrote a story on the information that you gave me, and you're going to sue me? That doesn't make much sense at all. What's happening here? I mean, oh my gosh, come on.
So a couple of organizations came out for these folks in this lawsuit. The EFF had a brief, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and it's pretty funny. I'm going to read out what they said in this point of it. The city's interpretation would permit public officials to decide, after making records publicly available online, through their own fault or otherwise, that accessing those records was illegal. The city proposes that journalists perusing a website used to disclose public records must guess whether particular documents are intended for them or not, intuit the city's intention in posting these documents, and then politely look the other way or be criminally liable. So it kind of was like, yeah, you're idiots. And then the city realized that the very long odds that they had at winning this lawsuit were getting smaller and smaller. And so they voted to settle the lawsuit. They paid them, what was it? $350,000, covering their legal fees as well as settlements for both of them.
Man, that is
there you go. So,
wow.
Hey, don't be dumb and make sure you send things to the right people, and maybe double check your emails before you hit send.
I'm saying,
I don't know. Maybe that's a solution to all of this instead of saying other people should do your job for you.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about job that people should be doing for you, or maybe you should be doing for yourself. 40% of university students found to be addicted to their smartphone, study says. Before the episode, we were talking about this and how do you determine addicted? You were asking me that. The article says people self-reported that they were, the line that they used as a cutoff was spending 5 hours or more on their smartphone a day meant they were addicted to their smartphone.
Okay, listen, Sanjay, I got a simple question for you. Okay, it's a real easy question. At what point in your life, in your entire life, at what point did you have a spare 5 hours a day to do really anything at all? Like, tell me that time in your life.
Yeah, so that has happened repeatedly, and that's when I'm on a plane going on an international flight. Because there's nothing else to do, man. At least up until recently. Now there's internet access, but up until recently, man, nothing to do.
Come on, I feel like to say like, oh, I had a spare 5 hours a day. Like, I'd have to go back to like middle school, like when I would come home and like watch a bunch of cartoons before. But even then,
you had things to do. You had cartoons to watch, and you could not record them back then, and you had to watch them live. I mean,
it just dumbfounded. I fully recognize that at this moment I sound like the old fogey. I'm okay with it. I'm gonna own that because I don't understand that amount of free time.
Well,
it just doesn't make sense to me.
I think it sounds like they're taking time away from other things that are life necessities. They said that 70% of these people had poor sleep quality. And so very likely they're spending time that they should be doing other things like sleeping. On their phones, which that's not a great thing, right? So, you know, I would say, like, to our listeners, maybe take a critical look at how much time you're spending on your phone. Almost all phones nowadays have apps on there that track how much time you're spending on there.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
And be a little conscious about how much time you're spending, and not just on phones. Like, honestly, I don't spend much time on my phone, but I spend a lot of time on computers.
I would say, though, ignore any time you spend on podcasting apps, because that's totally okay. Like, that's obviously like that's fine, right?
Especially listening to podcasts that are called Tech Talk Y'all or Together Letters. Like, those, totally fine. That is business research. It is going to make your life better.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.